Hello there, my name is Ismail, and we are continuing with our Blender training series by modeling tilted towers in Blender. Yeah, we are done with this building. The only thing remaining on it is texturing, which we'll look at in the future. So the other building we are going to look at is this building here. And yeah, let's begin with that. So to be efficient in our modeling, we're going to reuse some of the assets we already have here, like this here. You can see the shape is almost identical to this, to these here. So let's reuse that. So I'll just Shift D, but the problem is that this has a modifier that uses the empty we have in the scene as the mirror object. So when we move that away from the from the mirror object, it's going to change how the mirror modifier works. So let me delete that and make sure that I select everything that makes up the wall, including the empty, which is there. So if I Shift D, duplicate this with the empty as well, it won't change how the mirror modifier works. So now that we have that, we are going to also need the mirror modifier, because you can see this is also duplicated around the different areas. Maybe the different other doors are other windows are not opened, so we will look at how to work with that. So so we can come in and see. So if we come to our modifier, we can see that this here, let me make sure I'm getting this correct. Let's see how we're going to do this. You know, instead of using the mirror modifier, let me first turn this off and also remove this. We are going to instead use the array modifier to make 1, 2, 3 copies. But this is a bit taller to give room for the windows below. So, and I think it's also, these windows are also larger than the windows we have. I don't know, are they? Maybe not. So we just need to move these a bit up somewhere like that to add room for these floor windows. So if I add this portion here, I can also I can maybe add a loop here, then select this face, maybe add a loop here. Again, you can choose how detailed you want to be with this. Also need a loop around here, then push that in like that. I think this is too tall, so we need to select the top part, push it back down a bit. So we have something like that. I'm not going to worry too much about how different this is here. Because if you try to be too detailed with this project, you may fail to achieve the entire city. You might fail to model the entire scene because there's a lot of things going on around here. So be careful on how detailed you want to be. So let's do something like that. Then let's see what else. Then we can duplicate this. Let me make sure that the pivot point is at the object there. We can duplicate this around to make the cube. Instead of using the mirror modifier, I'm going to use Alt D to duplicate this, so that will duplicate an instance of the model we have made, the mesh we have made. And also go to wireframe so that it can connect this without leaving any gaps like that. And the reason I'm using Alt D instead of Shift D is that when you use Alt D, which makes an instance of what you have duplicated, when you make changes here, they'll also be reflected on the duplicated object. So I also need this on the other side, Alt D, then mirror this like this. Control M will mirror the objects on the axis you select. So if I do Control M and then select X, that will mirror that on the X axis. If I hit Z, it will mirror that on the Z axis and Y respectively. I think I need to duplicate this again. Mirror this like that. But we have this part here. So for that, I think we can select this part here. Shift D, remove this mirror modifier, and let's move this into position like that. Then we can add a loop cut here. So you can use the knife cut to also add loops, because loops will not be added in areas where you have an end gun. And you can see that we have a really big end gun here. Again, an end gun is a face that has more than 4 vertices, and you can see this face here has quite a few vertices there. So the loop tool will not work there. So instead, we can use the knife tool to make a cut across like that, or we can use a loop tool there. And then let's see, how can we do this? Select these 2 edges. Now make sure that you have, then select 2 edges, and then right click to subdivide them. It's the same way of adding loops, but it's just adding to selected edges. Also, I need to make this flat, so I'll scale it in the Z axis by 0, and also can select these so that they are aligned, and then I can select this and this, hit J to connect them like that. So the reason I'm adding those is so that I can delete the top parts we have here. As you can see, I'm trying to reuse as much as I can so that I don't have to model everything from scratch. Now, I don't think we need this face here, so I will delete that. And I think we can apply the mirror modifier for this so that we don't have this part here. So if I select this edge, I can hit Ctrl X to delete that, and also Ctrl X for this and Ctrl X for that, so we have something like that. So that is that part, and I think it's needed on the other side, so I'll duplicate that to have something like that. Again, we're not going super detailed here, just so that we are able to, so that we can be able to finish this project. I'm adding this. No, I'm adding this part here, but I've remembered we did that already, so we can just select this, Alt D, drag it here. Now, don't use Alt D because that will duplicate an instance. Use Shift D to make a copy, and then can go to edit mode, select these vertices, push them to that corner, select these, push them to the other corner like that. You can see that we are starting to get that shape, the art style we are going for. So you can see that there is an impression in here, so we can select this top face, then insert it, and then extrude down like that. but I think we have a lot of polygons around the corners here, so we can select them, then Alt aim. You can see some of the shortcuts I'm using here because I forget sometimes to talk about what shortcuts I'm using, but Control M, center. I'm merging those vertices so that we only have 4 to make up this face here. So now I can select this face and push it in by extruding to get that, so we can sit this in there. So for this, let's see how we're going to make this. I think we can start by making this here, these windows, and let's see how we're going to approach that. So we have 2 of these walls on the opposite side. So if I Shift D, duplicate this, rotate this 90 degrees, I can bring this wall around here in the middle here, push this out like this. Then I can select these polygons and push them up to make the building as tall as we want it, but that doesn't leave enough room on this side, so I don't have a reference image for the other side there. I think we can push this like this, and I think we can use the mirror modifier or use the array, change the offset to something like that. So, and the array just makes a copy of what you have, of the object you have selected, and you can make as many copies as you want, like that. So we have something like this, and again we can let me see, let me reset the origin of this to the geometry so that we have that there. I think we can move the 3D cursor to be in this, at the center of this object. So Shift S cursor to selected. Sorry, we want to reset the origin, so right click the object and then origin to 3D cursor. And now I can use the mirror modifier, mirror, to mirror this on the opposite axis like that. And I think if I selected this face, I can duplicate it, Shift D, rotate it 90 degrees. You can see it will be duplicated on the other direction as well. Because I also need to mirror it on this axis. The problem is we have the array modifier, so let me first turn that off. If you're working with mirrors, you can turn on clipping so that the polygons on this side don't intersect or move to the opposite side where the mirror is, like that. Now we need to delete the polygons that we are trying to go through, like that. So this would be this part here, and I think we need to extend it just a bit, add a loop there so that we get that arc. We're going to do it the same way we did it here. You know what? Let me delete this. I think this is the same thing we're doing here. We have here. So if I shift D, duplicate this, and apply. Let me see. Apply the array. No, apply the mirror first, and then apply the array. So we have something like this. But the middle part here shouldn't have these details. So that means we would have to, let me see, select this, delete this, delete. So we just need to turn this so that it looks like this. Sometimes this pivot point will get in the way. So you see, I want to select this, but it gets in the way. So if you hit W, you can hide it for a second. Then select what you want to select. Probably like this face. Okay. So it seems that this face are not aligned, so I'll scale them in the Y direction by 0 to make them aligned. Actually, also we don't need this part here, so I can select this edge loop and then delete the vertices and like that. You don't again need this. Dissolve that, and that. You can select this, extrude it down so that it's aligning with the bottom part. Then we can just fill in those faces like that. And if you want to have these loops continue, you just need to join them using J. But we have, I think, a few issues here. But you know what? If it's not going to come through in the render, I wouldn't worry about it. So as you can see that we're getting fairly the same details as we're seeing here, but maybe the difference is these two here. There are two arches here, so maybe you want to duplicate that somehow. So let me see if we can do that. So because there is symmetry here, we can delete the other side and just worry about one end. So I also reset my 3D cursor, so my origin to 3D cursor, so that I can utilize the mirror modifier like that. And you can see we have two things here that are not exactly as they are there. So I can delete, I can remove these polygons here. Cannot. Let me just delete them directly. And I can bridge these two loops like that. These polygons will not be necessary, so something like that. And you see now we have this space here. So I think we can add a loop here and first work on this part here so that we have two arches like that. So for that we can select this part and then separate it like this. Let's first remove the mirror modifier. Or we can keep the mirror modifier but change the pivot point to be centered, to be at this part here. So shift, select everything, shift S, cursor to selected, and then right click origin to 3D cursor. So I can hide this part for a second, so that would deal with this part here. So these windows are not as big as we have them here. So and this beam here, the separation here is not as big as well. So we also don't have this here for every one of these. So what we can do is just select this, remove that. I need to delete everything in the middle here, so select these delete vertices so that we have that opened, and we also need to delete those vertices and these vertices. Bridge that. We don't need those edge loops anymore. Now, just to make it simple, let's first delete everything that we don't need, like that. We also don't need these vertices or edges. We also won't need, we might need those. So let's select this ring, hit F to turn it into a face, and then we can select this and this, join them, this and this, join them. But the separation here is too big, so let's do that. Now we can select these two and push them in like that. So basically what we're working on is this top window here. Again, we don't want to be too detailed with this, so I think that will be enough. Maybe we can add in, if we insert this, if we add a loop here and another loop really close to it, we can select this ring out and then selecting a face, then Alt S to push it in along its normal, just to give it that bevel that you see in there. So that is as much details as we are going to add for that. And I think we can unhide now this face, then push it to its position. I think it's supposed to be like that. But this here shouldn't have those faces, so that they can connect without a gap there. But this middle arch is a bit wider, so I can make it wider like that, as that. And we can again add another mirror object, but this time we can use this as our mirror object. Okay, so I think these may need, we need to make them a bit wider. So let me select this and push it just to the side, away from our tower, so that we can work on it separately. So we need this to be a bit wider, maybe even a bit taller, like that. Something like that. Also, we need to change this here. So I think now that we have that, these are supposed to be at the top, like that. This needs to extend all the way to the bottom. But we have these windows here, so I guess I should also be adding in these details here. So we need to bevel this or add a loop and then delete these top faces. Maybe extrude and then delete. Then for this here, which would be, yeah, so this face here, you just need to delete like that. this bottom part should be extended down a bit, something like that. If you want, you can add in a few details that you see there. So just insert and then push in like that. So have just a few details like that. And now we need to duplicate this down. So Shift D. And maybe we can start it from the ground here. Actually, it doesn't start from the ground, so we can start around. So there are 3 windows, so we can use the array modifier. This I think is the, what offset is it? Yes, play around with the offset until you get the right one. So like that, and then we can extend this to top like that, and then push this down again like that. Since we already have this already made, so we can just select this here and extend. Okay, this is different here. You know what? Just to make this a bit easier for me, I won't care about that. So push these down a bit. So we have that. And I think it should be in a bit. And this here should be wider. So we need to scale it on the y-axis a bit as well. So something like this. See? And now what we are left with, I see that these middle windows don't have that arch, so we need to work on that. So we can easily fix it by selecting this loop here, scale it on the z-axis, remove any doubles, and basically delete the vertices in between here, and the vertices we are not using as well. Okay, maybe not those. We maybe just merge these with that. Control A. Last. Oh, a better way to do this is just deleting all the vertices up here and then mirroring, adding another mirror. Let's see, I think, yeah, but then we need to add a loop here so that we don't have these double, I don't know how to call them. So let's delete those vertices. Let's make sure that these are something like that. So yeah, it would depend on how detailed you want to be. But I think I'm okay with that, and maybe I can add a loop on this one here so that they join seamlessly with the bottom part. Something like that. Now we need to do the same. We need to duplicate this. Shift D, and rotate it 90 degrees so that it becomes our side walls. We need to make sure that they are connected correctly without intersecting, something like that. Also select, make sure that they are in the center there. But you see, this is different from this side. So basically we can use, let me see what I've deleted. Yeah, this was using the same mirror modifier, so I think we don't need this mirror modifier for this. And we only want one row to go through like that, so we don't need this mirror modifier. We don't need this mirror modifier, but we need to increase the count like that to match. So this would be in the middle like that. Now we can select this face here, this part here, Shift D, rotate that 90 degrees. You can reset the origin of this to geometry, so that is in the center of the geometry, and I think this can start at the bottom there. Just increase the array count, and where's my object? Yeah, this here can have a mirror that uses this object as its mirror object. Maybe let me scale this like this, and increase the array count for add an array. I think it's in the Z, Y, or just scale it up. So this has lost a few details that it needs. I think we need a mirror modifier here. Shift S, cursor selected, and then origin to 3D cursor, and we need a mirror on what axis? Yeah, something like that. So we have this, and now we need to reduce the array count. Something like that. And just scale this down so that it aligns correctly. And we need now to duplicate this on the opposite side. So just Alt D, mirror Y. Also select this, Alt D, mirror X. And there we have this tower. So I think it extends a bit in front, something like that. And also we need to give it more room this side as well. I think we also need to give it more room this side. I don't think so. For that we can just move this entire block. But we have this part here. For that I will keep it simple. I'll just duplicate this, Shift D, drag it up like that. And I think I can, let me see, Shift D, rotate 90 degrees. Just going to make this a bit quicker, so select this part, Shift D, mirror that on the opposite direction, and we would have that. So I think I can extend this to around there, maybe around there, and I need to grab these two and push them forward like that. Maybe select this entire block, push it back a bit. Again, you can choose how accurate you want to be with this, but again, the more time you spend on this, the better it will look, but again, the more time it will take and a lot of work. I can also just scale this so that we close that gap. And now for this part here, we can just duplicate this, bring that at the top, select this, bring that like so. And then we have our second building. Just need to add these top blocks there. Let's see, there is something is going on here that I'm not sure what is causing it. I think just move these away from the mirror object to close that gap. Now we need this top part here, and we should be done with this building. So for that, I'll keep it simple again. I will just add a plane, then move the vertices around, extrude what I need to extrude. So let me first push these, add in a few bevel, and then extrude a few edges like that. And then I can extrude that again. So we have a single block like that I can push in. Maybe I can push these out to add that detail, then insert these out as to push them out like that. So these corners here can be extended out a bit like this, and can just duplicate this, Shift D, rotate this 90 degrees, move things around. Select this, Shift D, mirror this, select this, Shift D, and mirror that. And we can add a flow to this. I think the flow is on the next level around here. Now we can duplicate these to make different levels. Yeah, and we have our second building. I can see that these flows are extending out a bit more than I want, so I can push them back in. Yeah,